Hi, guys. Welcome to the That's Where I'm At podcast. We're here talking today all things Taylor Swift. So, with me today is Mireille. Mireille, would you please introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Laura, for having me again, because I recorded a podcast with you. Not out yet, but I'm excited to be back here with you. So, my name is Mireille Nicole. I'm a relationship coach, and I am passionate about helping women see and discover that they have so much more power in their relationship and in their dating life than they currently think. So, that's my 10-second elevator
That's right.
pitch,
That's
as we
right.
discussed. So yeah, I'm really excited just based on that to talk about Taylor Swift and her relationship and kind of the
Yes.
lessons that we can learn from her. So
Well, it's been an interesting topic of conversation, and it's been kind of swirling around, especially since yesterday in America. It was the Super Bowl. And so it's just been interesting to kind of have conversations and why I'm hearing, and we can't get into everything. My gosh, we have
yes.
five things we're going to cover today, you guys. We're going to cover five lessons we can learn from Taylor Swift's relationship, specifically with Travis Kelsey. But we're going to talk about that, but there's so many things that we can't talk about because we just don't have hours and hours to get into it. But I wanted to talk a little bit about what can we learn really from the way that society is reacting to their relationship. And like we don't even want to get into like the hate, but number
Yeah.
one, number one I have is yesterday during the Super Bowl. Um, there was on some information later on the social media platforms that people were saying that she was playing a drinking game because they had her up on the jumbo video. And every time they would show her, the 49er fans would boo her. And she was saying, I'm going to be myself. And every time you boo me, I'm just going to like let it roll off my back. So I thought the lesson there felt like be true to yourself. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely see that in her relationship. Definitely the whole aspect of being true to yourself. I see that just in her whole career, right? Her own persona also. And
Yeah.
yeah, there was kind of that specific situation, that specific example. And another one actually I was reading today on social media, someone was commenting about her hair being up in a ponytail and, growing up. And I was like, I wear my hair in a ponytail all the time. I'm in my mid 40s. Oh my gosh. Am I ever going to grow up? But,
Not to mention it's a cute style.
yeah, I thought it looked kind of classy there with what she was wearing and everything. But
Yes.
yeah, so that's really interesting because there's a lot of talk about how, the little girls, the young women are watching and her being a
Yes.
role model. And part of that, like she's going to be nitpicked no matter what, right? But the
Yes.
whole
Yeah.
fact that she, stays strong in her beliefs and who she is, and she's still a
Right.
human being at the end of the day, and she's not going to be perfect, but there's a powerful lesson there to be learned for sure.
Right. Yeah, there is. And I kind of liked it because, I mean, especially if you look at her, she's in her 30s. This is what you would expect her to look like. And so I don't know
Yeah.
what people think too. You're at a sporting event and she's wearing a ponytail. Like, this is weird for you. I just thought it was so interesting, but anybody could pick on anything. So, well, number two, I wanted to talk about their relationship and and their support for each other because a lot of things have been said about it, but also sort of the double standard we're having in society that they've shown pictures of her at his football games and calling her a distraction. And then they show him at her concert and they call him a supportive boyfriend.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. That to me, the double standard, I think, is very hard. And as women, I feel picked on by that
Yeah.
standard. What do you think?
Yeah, do you know what? Because I posted not that long ago on my Facebook feed, the whole thing that I'm here for their love story, and I think that's the part of the love story that really resonates with me, right? The
Yes.
support and the encouragement, and kind of these grand gestures to be together, especially when you're at that level in terms of popularity and just in the public eye. And
Yeah.
it's funny, right? Like this relationship reminds me at this point, it reminds me of Posh and Bex. So Posh
Yes.
Spice and David Beckham, right? Like that would happen all the time. Posh Spice would be, it's like the British version of this.
Right.
She would, he would take private jets to go see her in Japan, I think it was, right, at Spice Girl concerts. And, he would go to the games, and David Beckham was always kind of, pressured into, is he still going to be able to perform well, in the sport, and keep his focus? And it's like the same thing all over again. It's like another
Well,
example of this.
we think it's a new story, and it's not. It's just
Yeah.
it's another couple. And so I had gotten and I had also seen on social media about Joe Montana, who was on the 49ers years ago, and how he used to call his wife from the sidelines just because, and it was from his interview, he wanted to see if the phone called out. And his wife was like, "Why are you calling me?" And he's like, "I just wanted to see if the phone called out." So he used to call her.
Oh.
And so, and if you know Joe Montana, he was an amazing quarterback. I don't know, did anyone say, "Why are you calling your wife?" I guess as long as he was still throwing the ball correctly and
Yeah.
well, did anybody care?
And I like what's that whole saying, behind every successful man, there's a strong woman, or there's some sort of
Yes,
like
yes,
comment like that, or some sort of
yes.
saying, right? Like, hey, let's make that true, and vice versa too.
Yes, it's so
Yeah.
true. And at the end, okay, so I was doing a Taylor Swift count for the seconds she was on screen.
Oh
And
yeah.
until they won the Super Bowl, she was on screen about 25 seconds, I think. So I just kept, every time they show her, I'd start counting one, two. I did a tally mark. That's what I did because this is
Mhm.
what I do with my life.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to see until they won. And then at the end, they were, kissing. And of course, they were showing her and all that.
Yeah.
So the announcer said, a lot of people talk about their relationship, whatever, and they were just saying she has been so supportive of him. And that's what it looks like when you can have a supportive person behind you. Okay. I think
Mm.
he said supportive woman because that was the situation. But how he said it makes such a difference when you have someone like that, when you have someone supporting you. And so that saying of behind every successful man is a supportive woman or a strong woman. It's
Yeah.
true, right? It feels like that.
Let's take the credit for that too. Like, let's own that.
Well, and we know too from toxic relationships when you don't have the support, how it affects your life, right? So
Yeah.
if they're feeling supported, it's appearing supportive. Let's go with, hey, it's supportive. And
Yeah.
we know it's a good thing,
Yeah.
right? So number 3, I wanted to talk about this amazing standard. Nope. This balance of friends
Mhm.
and men. I really like the fact that she's always surrounded by friends. So it
Mhm.
seems that she can balance having a boyfriend or having a, long-term boyfriend with friends. What do you think about that in relationships?
I love that. I think that's so important, no matter, you know, what your relationship looks like. Because I know we were talking about, and you have personal experience more from a toxic narcissistic relationship, but even from like a good, healthy relationship, like the more you can still maintain that friendship with,
Yes.
with the girls, and still do things and still have those, like, I love telling women, like, I know when I was struggling in my relationship, one of the things that really helped me to get out of it and turn my relationship around and bring us back to the honeymoon phase and back to our happily ever after was when I started taking all the pressure off my partner and starting to rebuild that bond with my girlfriends, right? Like, we put a lot of pressure, I find nowadays, where our husband
Yes.
or our partner has to be everything, and we have to just talk about everything and just say anything and everything anytime, and that puts a lot of pressure. And men are a little bit different with that too. So if you can take some of that and just keep building that relationship or maintain that connection with your girlfriends, that's going to be very healthy. There's a whole different, you know, emotional response and biological response in you when you're sharing with the women in your life too, right?
Yeah.
So that's just going to bring just more richness and fullness to your relationship at the same time. So I love it. What do you think?
I really like that idea because, I know people talk about, my husband's my best friend and all that,
Yeah.
but sometimes I feel like if I'm talking about scrapbooking or something, my husband's eyes might glaze over, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
why can't I go out? I just feel like, why can't I go out and have my girlfriends to talk about scrapbooking with, or whatever other thing we're talking about, or that, like if the football players looked handsome or something, who knows? I mean, I feel like we don't have to share every darn thing, not to
Yeah.
keep secrets, but they don't have to be responsible for every single thought we have in our head, because yeah, men are created differently. I feel like they can handle less than we
Yeah.
can. I think women have a lot more words than men do,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, a number 4 out of 5 that we're talking about today, I wanted to talk about daughters and the conversation that's been going on about, dads connecting with their daughters, and is Taylor Swift a good role model for our daughters? And the conversation came up for me on my last podcast episode because we were talking about how we feel like society, when people are saying to Taylor Swift, and like that's why I did my second count yesterday on, out of a 3.5 hour football game, or might have been, I don't know how long it went because it went into overtime. She was on the screen 25 seconds, 30 seconds, something like that. And are we really saying this, be less, stop interrupting kind of thing? And that's kind of where I've seen the conversation going. What have you heard around that? And what do you think about being a role model for our daughters?
Yeah, that's such a tough one, right? So the
Yes.
conversation's been so polarizing when it comes to that. I mean, inevitably, when you've got that level of popularity to a certain extent, there is that expectation that you're going to be a role model in a certain way. And when we're talking about role model in this context, there's a whole aspect of the role model that Taylor Swift is being for women. There's a whole idea of the role model that the dads, Brads, and Chads, as she calls them, are for
Right.
their daughters. And you know what? I would even say there's, an opportunity here even for the women, for maybe the partners of the dads, Brads, and Chads too,
Yeah.
right? So there's been a lot of talk, and I'm kind of throwing a curveball in here by saying
Okay.
this maybe, but there's, we've talked a lot about the dads and the daughters. There's a lot of obviously expectation in terms of Taylor Swift's, you know, the role of the role model that she plays, but also like I feel in a way this is even an opportunity for us, maybe the partners of the dads, Brads, and Chads, like this is an opportunity to have a conversation. Maybe if your partner is the one who's maybe annoyed with Taylor Swift being on camera, and an opportunity to work your intellectual intimacy as a couple and have,
That's
conversation
great.
about your opinion on that. So there's like a
I like
role model aspect on all sorts, on three different levels in a way.
No, really, I like that. No, I really like that, to have the conversation and not just be like, "God, you're so rude," because
Yeah.
I don't think it's intentional when people are like, "Oh, that's annoying to me." I understand people just have the, I just want to, I just wanna be watching football kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's great to have that conversation, go, "Well, why are you feeling like that? And do you think," kind of maybe reading the body language of your children who are fans or whatever. I've seen the other opportunities too, where like dads are learning, they're taking their kids to the concert, and they're learning
Yeah.
the songs and stuff like that. And it's just a way to connect. And someone commented on my, what is happening?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
you froze a little bit.
Yeah,
You
you
saw
from,
someone comment and it ended there.
oh shoot. Okay. Yeah, that's weird because I have full, um yeah, shoot. I have full Wi-Fi. Okay, we're almost done anyway. So,
Yeah,
well,
you're
and
good
then
now.
I see somebody comment that's saying like, why should the kids have to, or why should the dads have to connect with them over Taylor Swift? And I said, well,
Mhm.
because that's what they're just trying to connect. And sometimes you have to look for the things to connect with, right?
Mhm.
You have to go out of your way, even in your relationship. How can you connect with your partner? And
Yeah, where
what do
they're at too. If that's where the
yes,
daughters are at with Taylor Swift, meet them where they're at.
right, exactly. So I thought that was great. And so the last thing we wanted to talk about today was, oh my gosh, I kind of feel sorry for them having to figure out their relationship in front of the whole entire world. And
Mhm,
so, but
mhm.
and so, of course, we can only speculate. But I want to kind of comment on the positive things I see. I feel like the way they are with each other, I feel like the body language, the way she touches his face, and that they seem to be
Yeah,
kind with each other. That I think it's taken a while for the relationship to get to this point because, I don't even know how long it's been that he reached out to her to try and date her before, and
yeah.
she was hesitant at first or whatever it was. She just didn't, you know, go right to him kind of thing. And anyway, what kinds of things other than this poor thing of figuring it out in front of the world? What do you think? What do you see?
Oh, I like feel for them so much because that's what happens, right? The more people know about your relationship, but I always think, you kind of want to be careful about how much that you share with other
Yeah,
people, not to be secretive or anything, but then you open yourself up to potential judgment, other people's projections. And hey, if you feel very strong in, you know, your love and what you're doing, hey, that's fine. Share everything you want and then take everyone's opinion with a grain of salt, or take the good, or be able to pick apart, what you want from that conversation. But they've got everything kind of, well, there's things we don't see behind closed door, but they have a lot on display for us, right?
yes,
So I love, like you were saying, just kind of the way they touch each other and some of these grand gestures, like I said. And people will often say, well, Mireille, it's the honeymoon phase, it's the beginning of the relationship. And I say, do you know what? I don't care. This is a great reminder of how it is in the beginning, and
yes,
some things maybe you can do in your own relationship to kind of reignite that flame and get back to the honeymoon phase. And this is good to see it on display to remind you, okay, how do we kind of work our way back to that? Now, obviously, in the beginning of a relationship, things are a lot easier and there's less stress and pressure
right.
and kids and whatnot. But what are some small things that you can bring back? Just sit back, just watch the relationship, and just let yourself, feel those goosebumps and butterflies in the tummy. We don't have to take their relationship so seriously.
I love that. No, it's true. Like when you're looking at them, if you are looking at them and going, "Oh, I really like the way they are with each other." Think about that for your relationship, and maybe those are
Yeah.
things you want to try, right? Why not?
Mhm.
Because I think maybe when you're in a bad spot, you might be going, "Why don't you hold me like that?" But we have to remember that's not the way to do things. And then call Bidet, and she will
Yeah,
help you.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
She will help you in your relationship and how to
Yeah.
talk to your partner.
And how to
Oh
get
my
more
God.
of that from him. So yeah.
That's right, exactly. Well, thank you so much for being here. That
Thank
was
you.
I know it was quick, but that was a really good conversation. I just kinda wanted to touch on that because there's so many things. There's a million more things we could talk about, but I like talking about the relationship and kind of, how secure she is with herself, and I know that it's taken a long time for her to get there.
Yeah.
So, she's been doing the work, and, that's the whole point, right? That's what we gotta do. If we want what we see, if we're emulating that or if we dream of that, sometimes there is work to be done and it can be done, right? So
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate
Thank
it.
you. This was so much fun. Thanks so much.
Guys, don't forget to subscribe and like us, and we'll talk to you later.
Yes. Take care, everyone.